Good morning. All right, on a day like today, after the last few days, we've had good morning. All right. Now, Detroit showed up and showed out the last few days. Let's give ourselves a round of applause for just how wonderful our city has done. Thank you all for joining us today after a historic and record-breaking week for the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan. There are so many people to acknowledge and thank for their contributions to a successful week. First, it's important to thank and recognize the people of our great city of Detroit and Southeast Michigan. You all showed up and were great ambassadors to tens of thousands of out-of-town guests. Secondly, I want to thank all the workers, vendors, and volunteers who welcomed the 775,000 attendees and helped make their experiences memorable. Thank you so much to each and every one of them. Finally, and most importantly, the local organizing committee thanks the Detroit Police Department, the Fire Department, and the public safety professionals who worked tirelessly over the past week to keep everyone safe. Let's give them a round of applause. And now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce my brilliant co-chair for the local organizing committee, Claude Molinari, President and CEO of Visit Detroit.
Good morning. Thank you, Alexis. It has been an honor to work with you on Detroit's record-shattering NFL draft. Last week, we were able to show our visitors and millions of people watching on TV what we already know about our city. Detroit is the best sports city in America, with 4 teams playing in 3 downtown blocks, a passionately supported pro soccer team, the Detroit Grand Prix, the Rocket Mortgage Golf Classic, major events like the NFL Draft. No other city can compete with our ability to put on major sporting events. More importantly, Detroiters have helped make this city a center for innovation, culture, and creativity. Cars wouldn't be cars, music wouldn't be music, culture wouldn't be culture without Detroit. Detroit breaks record because of our people, and we are just getting started. 775,000 attended the draft in person, and an additional 34 million watched night 1 on TV, which is a 6% increase over last year. We anticipate getting full TV data later this week. Additionally, data on the overall economic impact of the draft will continue to come in over the next days, weeks, and months. Visit Detroit and the local organizing committee want to be precise in the overall economic impact of such a significant event. Sports economist Patrick Reich is working on an analysis as we speak, and it will be completed in June. While we work meticulously on compiling the data, it is still evident how successful last week's draft was. Dozens of organizations helped to make it possible, but I want to give special thanks to 3 in particular. First, thank you to the Detroit Lions. There would never have been a draft in Detroit without Sheila Hamp, Rod Wood, Kelly Cazzoli, and the countless others at that organization. Second, thank you to Dan Gilbert. Detroit has always been a remarkable city with people doing great things, but his vision over the past 2 decades has helped transform Detroit for an incredible future of possibilities. Dan's support with the league was essential in securing the event, and the teams at Rocket and Bedrock have been instrumental in the draft's success. Finally, I want to thank Mayor Duggan, Governor Whitmer, Chief White, and the MEDC. Successful events require support from leaders in government, and the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit has backed us every step of the way. 2 words, 3 times. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The draft was a record-breaking, but we're just getting started in Detroit. There are 26 days till we welcome more than 100,000 people for the Movement Festival, 32 days till the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix, and 59 days to the Rocket Mortgage Golf Classic. It is now my it is now my privilege to introduce America's best mayor, Mike Duggan.
Well, good morning. Got up this morning to read rave reviews from news media outlets across America about how Detroit hosted the best draft ever. It is remarkable to read sports journals, business journals, news journals talking about the recovery of the city. Everybody's talking about Detroit. I feel like we are a 10-year overnight success. And the credit really belongs to the people who live in this city. I mean, every single story you saw, they talked about the warmth and the graciousness of Detroiters, how welcoming this city was. We made an impression that I think is going to last a long time, and Detroiters should be proud of the way we welcomed America. I got so many people that I want to thank, and I do want to take the time to do it because this was a remarkable event. Gave us the chance, Sheila Hamp and Rod Wood, who pitched so hard to get it. You couldn't be up and down the street without thinking about what Dan Gilbert has done and how much he has meant. And Mark Hollis and Jared Fleischer and his team behind the scenes that had so much to do with this. Of course, Claude Molinari and Alexis leading this effort publicly. Eric Larson of the Downtown Detroit Partnership, which interestingly was a creation of Roger Penske from the 2006 Super Bowl and has carried over and is continuing to do great things. And you want to see how good they are. You wouldn't know we had 775,000 people out here 48 hours ago. We are ready to go again on Monday morning. Charity Dean and the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance, we had 60 Detroit companies who were working here. This has been different than the other NFL drafts. It was Detroit companies who did the work, whether it was food, supplies, furniture. You're going to hear from a few of them, but I understand the NFL is now asking them to help future cities talk about how the local businesses benefit when the NFL comes to town. Of course, our secret weapon, my brother Dan, the walking encyclopedia, the NFL draft, who had so much to do with the vision of the fan experience. And I want to take a minute to thank the city staff. I came back from Kansas City a year ago, and I saw those 300,000 people in the country focused on Kansas City, and I realized we were going to have the national spotlight. And most administrations, no matter what level of government you're in, by the 10th year, you're kind of getting stale and you've been there for a while. I said to them, we have 365 days. Everything has to be fixed. The amount of pressure that the city management felt for the last year and the way they performed is remarkable. I'll never get them all, but the General Services Department made this city so beautiful. Brad Dick, Jessica Parker, Krista Powell, the whole team. Didn't the city look great? Sam Krasenstein and the amazing transportation plan, which I never thought I'd be getting compliments of strangers out of town on how our transportation worked. Ron Brundage on the DPW side, Todd Bettison, who troubleshot everything, Antoine Bryant, and the planning. Everybody deserves enormous credit. I also am going to give a shout out to somebody whose name you haven't heard, but I will always be grateful for. And that's David Lewis, the CEO of AT&T. So this is a story we never would have told in the last 3 days. But at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning, I'm on the golf cart doing the final tour. Everything looks flawless. People are lined up all the way down. And we're supposed to open, the cell phone rings, and it's Chief White. And he says, we got a problem. We're dark. I said, what does that mean, you're dark? He says, I'm telling you, I'm in the real-time crime center. The feed has been cut. We have no camera view of the entire footprint. And I think this is his idea of a late April Fool's joke. He says, I am not comfortable with people pouring in here if we can't run our full protection system, and nobody can tell me what's wrong. I got on the phone to the one guy I knew who could do it, David Lewis, the CEO of AT&T. They had to pull him out of an event, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, David, I don't know what you have planned for the next couple hours, but I kind of need your help. And he listened. He said, I got you. 5 minutes later, he called back. He says, I got my best people on him. I told him, don't waste a single minute trying to figure out what's wrong with the system. You run a backup line to DPD headquarters right away. Now, as it turns out, as we discovered later, a construction company doing groundwork that had nothing to do with the plant cut through a fiber optic line 2 hours before the draft was supposed to open and left us dark. AT&T got the backup line installed so fast, we actually opened the gates a half hour early and let people in. So David Lewis deserves a Spirit of Detroit Award. And finally, I think you all know this. The Detroit Fire Department EMS were great, but everybody I talked to talked about the Detroit police officers. Our 2,500 men and women had their vacations and leaves canceled for 3 days. They were out on their feet 10, 12 hours a day. Even by the end of the day Saturday, they were smiling and greeting people. It was tremendous. But Chief White was the leader. And there was a lot of tension early on in the design. The NFL wanted that shot you all saw down Campus Martius. I knew if we put the draft there, that meant the NFL zone could never contain all the people who were going to show up. It meant we had to use all of downtown, from Corktown to Grand Circus Park to Eastern Market, something no NFL draft has tried. And I told the NFL, I really don't care what you say. I want Chief White to tell me he's got a security plan that can protect not only the NFL zone, can protect all of downtown and maintain full services in the neighborhood on a warm weekend in the city of Detroit. And the chief came out with his plan, and he said the city and the businesses would do so much better if we put this in downtown. He says, you put it there, we will secure it. And I want to now welcome the most valuable player in the NFL draft, as far as I'm concerned, Chief James White.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for knowing David Lewis at AT&T. This is awesome. Officers did an amazing job keeping this city safe. Our strategy was no one will go 20 yards, keeping with the sports theme, without seeing a police officer. And we wanted to be courteous. We wanted to make sure that we were present and that it wasn't over-police, but you could not go too far without seeing the police, and that they were highly engaged. We could not be more happy. We could not be prouder. I want to thank all of our law enforcement partners, but I would be remiss if I didn't just pause for a second and thank my partner over at Fire, Commissioner Sims and his team. They were just amazing. I want to also thank AC Fitzgerald, who's right now getting checked out because he's a little sore from all the walking, but he just partnered with me and put together an amazing plan, handled the staffing, and just did an incredible job. I also want to just take a moment, because it is important, to thank our federal, state, and local partnerships, including the Royal Oak Police Department, the Oakland County Sheriff. We needed dogs. We got dogs. And Deputy Mayor knows that I called him one day and said, we don't have enough dogs. He says, all right, let's see what we can do. Let's activate some partnerships. And we were able to get enough bomb-sniffing dogs and narcotics dogs to help us with the footprint, which is super important. I also want to talk about CTAT. That's our counterterrorism partnerships, which has a very heavy name, but the technology and the information that they brought to this program was incredible. ATF, FBI, and the list just goes on. And certainly our Wayne County Sheriff's Department was there when we need them. Detroit's a great place. Now the world sees it. Just to hear some of the compliments and some of the accolades that we received for our city, not just the police, not just the fire department, but for our city, the beauty of our city, the compliments to the mayor. It was a very proud day for us and the police department. And the reason that they were smiling, Mr. Mayor, the officers, that is pride. So thank you all.
Let's have another round of applause for Mayor Duggan and Chief White. Thank you so much for all you've done. Now, the mayor alluded to just how amazing it was to look around when you looked at TV and you saw those beautiful buildings and you saw so much activity in life. And we cannot thank Dan Gilbert and the Rocket Companies enough for all of the work that they've done. And now I'd like to introduce Bill Emerson, president of Rocket Companies.
Thank you, Alexis. Good morning, Detroit. So I got to start with one word. Wow. Just wow. To the local operating committee, organizing committee, Claude, Dave, Marty, wow. To the city of Detroit, Mayor Duggan, Chief White, 775,000 people downtown in 3 days. Not one significant issue. Think about that for a second. That is unbelievable. And, of course, all of the sponsors and the partners that helped put this thing together, raise the money to be able to do it, thank you all for what you did. As you can tell, I'm still in a little bit of awe about what happened this past weekend. Detroit showed up every single day. The way they showed up was exhilarating, phenomenal, but not the least bit surprising, because that's just what we do in Detroit, right? We knew our city would make history happen like we've done time and time again. I personally had a lot of high expectations about how this draft was going to go, and I got to tell you, every single one of them was exceeded. In all my years in Detroit, I have never experienced the gratitude from so many for the work we were able to do together. I'm proud to stand here today and represent Rocket, whose role was instrumental in bringing this monumental event to life. Countless team members across the family of companies, including Bedrock, Rocket Companies, Rock Events, Rocket Mortgage, Rock, and others, they poured their heart, soul, time, and energy in delighting hundreds of thousands of attendees and showing them what Detroit was all about. I couldn't stand up here without taking a moment to say something about Dan and Jennifer Gilbert and to thank them specifically for their vision and everything they've done for Detroit over the last 15 years. We would not have had the outcome we had today if it wasn't their dedication and continued investment in the city's revitalization. Now, timing is everything, is it not? So the draft has been years in process, right? Getting it to this point. But it came together at a pivotal time as our Detroit Lions wrapped up an unbelievable season. So we have to say thank you to the Lions for the critical role they played in ensuring this draft came to Detroit. Sheila Ford Hamp, Rod Wood, Kelly Kozol, the Lions, thank you so much for the opportunity. Without you and our awesome fans and the incredible team we put together, none of it would have happened. By the way, we need to make a shout out to the state of Michigan and the MEDC for putting millions of dollars investment into the city to be able to affect the area outside the footprint so that folks could come down here and enjoy this without having to actually be in the footprint. It was absolutely incredible. People could walk up and down Woodward, Grand Circus Park, Capitol Park, Harmony Park, Beacon Park, and see what was happening around them. And of course, Bedrock. Ahead of the draft, Andrea Danuski, Ivy Greener worked tirelessly with a dozen businesses and pop-ups to help them open on time and created an interactive guide for visitors to access more than 119 options to dine, shop, park, visit, and experience. Yes, we wanted to ignite the whole city with excitement, and we were intentional about ensuring everyone across the city could celebrate along with those who visited downtown. The Gilbert Family Foundation hosted neighborhood draft parties in collaboration with Northwest Goldberg Cares and MACC Development. The events welcomed more than 1,000 attendees to partake in DJ performances, free food from local food trucks, and yard games while the draft was projected for all to see. We have a little philosophy at Rocket. It's called "You will see it when you believe it." And what we witnessed this past weekend is proof of what can happen when people come together in pursuit of a common belief. I think everyone who attended the draft felt the catalytic moment we witnessed. We shattered. We didn't break. In Detroit style, we shattered the previous effort by nearly 200 memory for the experience, the upward trajectory of a great American city. But the work is not done. We have momentum now. We've created an opportunity. People have seen what Detroit can do. 1,068 days from now, the Final Four will be here. There will be more things that happen in between. And it's incumbent upon us to continue to recruit, to talk about Detroit, to bring development we need for the city of Detroit to continue to make Detroit and Michigan an incredible place to be. Thank you all for your time. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Bill. Of course, one of the things that made this draft so special and the experience just so cool and so unique was that we had so many local businesses play a role. For those of us who went to Kansas City last year, one thing you heard time and time again was people saying that they didn't feel like local businesses were as included. And as Mayor Duggan said, the committee said that was not going to happen. That was something that we were not going to do. So now, to introduce some of the businesses who played such a role in making the draft so special, I'd like to introduce Detroit 75 owner Ahmad Nasser, Top Pick Collective owner Brittany Hoskins, and Chef Omar Mitchell of Table Number 2. 3 of the business owners, come on up here and y'all talk together. 3 of the 60 local businesses included in the draft. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ahmad Nassar. I'm the CEO and creative director of Detroit 75 Kitchen. For those that are unfamiliar, we're a proper sandwich shop in Southwest Detroit. Many of you would probably recognize my brother, Chef Mike. He's just a lot cooler than I am, but he was not able to make it this morning. But collectively, we're just so proud to have been part of this event. I mean, what a great time. Between our Southwest Detroit location, our catering throughout the weekend, and our activation in Hart Plaza, we served more than 15,000 meals. That's a lot of food and a lot of people. So, in terms of credits, in the back over there, Chris Moyer and the rest of the Visit Detroit team for helping us navigate the weekend. Kai Bowman from Metro Black Business Alliance, as well as, let's see here. Well, there's a lot of people to thank, but I know I'm forgetting one person in particular, but if I didn't mention you, thank you so much. We had such an unbelievable time, and thank you for having me.
Good morning, everyone. One word describes this feeling, like Bill mentioned, wow. My name's Brittany Hoskins. I'm the owner of the Top Pick Collective and the Lux Rental Collective. We focus on event design and event rentals. We provided all of the furniture in Hart Plaza, the Bud Light Beer Tavern, and all of the backstage VIP suites. Thank you. In previous draft cities, the furniture needs were so great that local businesses didn't have the capacity to provide them. Our team custom built tables locally. We purchased hundreds of pieces of furniture, and much like other amazing Detroit businesses, we showed grit and we just got it done. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize Charity Dean and Kai Bowman of the Michigan Black Business Alliance for being ahead of the curve and making sure that minority businesses were certified to even be able to take advantage of the opportunity. So to give you a little context, in November, we got certified to even be able to be in the room. It's been a long and hard 30 days. Yes, that's right. Conversation started in November, but the work that's happened, it's been in about 30 days. So 30 days, we've built this record-breaking draft, and we've been stretched in a way like never before. I'm tired, but I've never been more proud of myself and to be a little black girl from the east side of Detroit than I am today. I can't wait to see what's next.
Well, good morning. Good morning to my neighbors downtown Detroit and a lot of friends here. So thank you all for coming. My name is Chef Omar Mitchell. I represent the famed Table Number 2 restaurant located in downtown Detroit in Greektown. Before I get started here, I would like to acknowledge some folks, if you don't mind. First and foremost, the NFL and the Detroit Lions. Of course, my landlord, Mr. Dan Gilbert and Jennifer. Thank you guys, Bedrock and Rocket, for all that you do. Bill, thank you very much. It wouldn't be us without you all. The city of Detroit. I had the honor and pleasure to sit next to Mr. Mayor. He's been a longtime friend of mine, and we were just talking about where things started. We originally were on Livernois, so to be able to share the story of being where we're at now to where we come from has been a great testimony from myself and Mr. Mayor. Thank you to the governor in the state of Michigan. Thank you to the MLBDC. The Visit Detroit, Chris, thank you, man. You rock. Downtown Detroit Partnership, Chief White, Detroit Police Department, thank you, sir. I'm right there in the middle of all the witnesses of the Detroit Police Department and DFD, Detroit Fire Department. I get to see it all from the watchtowers on down. And so everything was absolutely remarkable. The police department and the fire department was very courteous. No one was aggressive. Everyone did their job diligently, and you saw no signs of exhaustion. So that was incredible. Thank you to the commissioner for the Detroit Fire Department. I'll get right to it about the story, and Claude and Alexis, thank you. I'm sorry, my apologies. I'm born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I've been laying bricks and mortar here for 30 years. So this is what a story of Detroit is all about. Someone that was born here, that went to high school here, that have been laying bricks here forever. And so to be sitting here or standing here talking to you all right now about the NFL draft and the accomplishments and the success, this is what Mr. Mayor has been talking about. This is what Mr. Dan Gilbert invested into the city of Detroit about. This is what Visit Detroit stand behind. Getting Detroiters to come to Detroit to do what we have to do to invest into a remarkable city. We are a remarkable city, and don't ever forget that. When we're never going to give up. The grit, invest in Detroit. Like the gentleman said, you will see it when you believe it. Well, I tell you what, it's been over 30 years, and I definitely believe it. And the city of Detroit is remarkable for me, and I'll never give it up. Our restaurant, downtown Detroit, table number 2, is remarkable. But we need you folks not only to support the business, but come down Detroit, walk around, enjoy. It's a safe place. It's a beautiful place, and it's a great place to be. Detroit is what it's all about. Yes, we're excited for our Detroit Lions. Yes, we're excited for the Final Four. Yes, we're excited for soccer, etc. But we are excited to be Detroit. Yes, please give yourselves a round of applause, please. Detroit is what it's all about. I'm just exhausted. We're hearing all the wonderful stories all over the world about all these wonderful cities and states, but it's our time now, Detroit. Let's stand up. Let's take it. It's all about the grit. Thank you.
Thank you. Another round of applause for these businesses, all the amazing businesses who participated, Michigan Black Business Alliance, all of the other organizations who helped us make this happen. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce the man who leads the Downtown Detroit Partnership. When you think about these beautiful parks and what has made downtown such a beacon, he spends every single day thinking about what we're doing and how we're going to showcase downtown, but also make it a place where everyone feels special and welcome. The president and CEO of the Downtown Detroit Partnership, Eric Larson.
Wow, Alexis, I need you to just follow me around because, my dad would say you were, telling lies here. But on behalf of the Downtown Detroit Partnership, good morning. I can't believe what a success this NFL draft was. It's been said over and over again. We have exceeded, I think, everyone's expectations, not only just locally, but nationally and internationally. We shattered attendance records, but most importantly, we showed the vibrancy of Detroit on the world stage. Stories of these local businesses exemplify the way that we focused on hosting the NFL draft. We knew that it was important to make sure that this was an inclusive and embraced all of Detroit. And that's exactly what we've done. And we didn't do it just within the draft footprint. We did it throughout the city. Award-winning Campus Martius Park now not only is the host of countless activities throughout the year in and year out, it also happens to be the home of the place that broke the NFL record. We showed our pride for the Lions. Thank you, Lions. We showed our pride for the city. Thank you, Mayor. And that pride has been growing as we've built a strong and inclusive core to our city. The plan for the draft was built on 3 principles. Make it safe. Thank you, Chief. Showcase the city to the world, and make sure that we had opportunities for our local community to participate. I think we hit on all 3 of those principles. The Downtown Detroit Partnership's Draft Day in the D did exactly as we intended. We extended the draft's impact into 4 parks and up and down Woodward Avenue. We saw amazing results. 4 times the number of visitors in Grand Circus Park each of the 3 days than a traditional Tigers opening day, and we know how big opening day is in Detroit. We deployed 90 food trucks, and 135 small business vendors were part of the activations throughout these public spaces. We drove sales to existing businesses like House of Pure Vin on Woodward through the activation in partnership with Bedrock. The NFL programming at PAL and the Park and Ride activations in Corktown allowed for 40 Detroit vendors to do a block party. That would never have happened without the intention and the deliberateness of our planning. All Things Marketplace in Corktown saw the best sales they've ever had since they opened those 3 days of the draft. Our parks had 37 performances and artist opportunities. We set up 10 20-foot viewing screens throughout the city so people had a place to watch their draft everywhere they went. 160 volunteers, over 100 of our ambassadors kept the city clean and welcoming. And of course, we sold over 30,000 beers at Draft Day in the D. NFL was unforgettable for a lot of reasons, but it showed what Detroit is. It showed our culture, it showed our downtown, and most of all, it showed Detroit's passion. I could not be prouder of the team that we got to do this with. Alexis, Claude, you led an amazing result. Couldn't be happier to be part of it, and what a fantastic result for the city. Go Detroit.
All right, now we're going to open up for questions. All right, and I can direct it wherever you need me to. When are the streets downtown going to reopen and the queue line? Where's Sam? Sam? You need to sit in the front. And another round of applause for this guy. He worked around the clock, talking to MDOT, talking to everybody, making it happen, so thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So the build-out of the draft took almost 4 weeks to complete. It started at the end of March, and we're planning to have everything be reopened within a week. By Tuesday, May 7th, all of the streets should be completely reopened. We're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. We already have Larned reopened today, which wasn't even supposed to reopen until Wednesday. So day by day, as parts of the draft footprint go away, the fencing goes away, the stage gets taken down, we'll be opening up the streets as fast as we possibly can. So we're starting today, but every day this week you should see some progress.
Any more traffic, transportation-related questions? Queue line?
Right, so Q Line currently is stopping up right outside Little Caesars Arena. They'll be working their way back down and stopping at Campus Martius later this week, and they'll be resuming full service down here at Congress by Monday or Tuesday next week, depending on how fast we get everything removed.
All right, thank you, Sam.
You know, you're going to have to ask the chief. I actually don't know anything except the chief told me that the power went off, and David Lewis told me the power went on. And in between, chief probably knows more than I do.
So with our real-time crime center, we have a constant feed of the footprint. We also have a backup. When I came in and we did our morning briefing, we go into the real-time crime center. We go dark on the footprint. We roll into our backup. But we didn't have the visuals that we needed to ensure the safety and execute our strategy. When we went dark, I called the mayor, and thank goodness he knew this gentleman, and he went right to work. I don't know the exact location of the cut, but it was during part of the installation for the draft. It was that morning at 8 o'clock when that cut happened. Well, wasn't frightening, but we have backup plans, and then we have backups to the backups. We went into our third backup plan. We had some visuals and some things that we did with our towers and things such as that where we were getting feeds in, but it would not allow us to execute like we needed to because we wanted to be 20 yards between people, and we needed the cameras to get there and to have the officers situated. We were directing the officers from the real-time crime center from something we call Eagle Eye. So if we saw groups, we wanted the officers to move towards those groups. We didn't have that ability until we got back up.
Chief White, the mayor had mentioned that you wanted to make sure that all the cameras were on before you let people into the entrance to the NFL draft. Would there have been a scenario if you didn't get the cameras up, you would have had to delay getting into the draft?
Yeah, and we had a plan for that too. So initially, what we wanted all cameras hot before they walked in, and they were, by the way. We were able to get things back up and running. But what we decided was, well, we had our undercover officers, so we were going to be much more aggressive with them. And then the other thing that we were going to do is use our private partnerships with cameras and get access that way.
Chief White, it didn't seem like there were really any major incidents over the weekend, and obviously a great feat for having so many people in one concentrated area. But to your knowledge, were there any incidents that your staff had to deal with? You saw some people maybe busting through some of the perimeters in certain places?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, it was a large number of people. 775,000 people over 3 days, plus 8 additional activations. And we had a total of 2 juveniles detained over the 3 days for fighting, nothing significant, and 2 arrests, 2 adult arrests in 3 days in the footprint. So, very, very happy with that. Nothing major. And the gate issue, we knew about that. We talked to others that had hosted, and they said, listen, what's going to happen if at the end of the night you're going to have some people, once it closed, try to get in. We knew that was going to happen. We had officers stationed around the gate. A few kids got in, a few adults got in. But the good news was, part of our plan was even once they hit that gate, they were still screened when they came up to the gate. We had a couple people that weren't screened. We put our undercover officers on them. We were able to get them. I saw the video of about 4 or 5 people. The part that you didn't see was us getting them and getting them out of here. I'm sorry? I don't know. I don't have any update on that. I think our community. I mean, our community was ready for this. They knew we were on a national stage. Excited to show who we are. I mean, that old nonsensical stories of Detroit from the 80s, it's over with. And we're a different city. Our community was ready for this event, and they showed it. And I was very proud of them. We had people in our community pointing out things like police officers to us. Hey, I think they're going to get into a fight. And we were able to get ahead of a lot of different things and really contain a lot of issues before they happen.
Well, we're in the process of going after that, Charlie, but I would imagine that, our original estimates were somewhere between 150 and 175 million. I think we're going to go way beyond that. And I'll say this, last week, so the week before the draft, was our best hotel revenue week of 2024. It's possible that this past week with the draft will be the best hotel revenue week ever for Southeast Michigan. And that's 128 years of tracking that. So we're really, again, the numbers spoke for themselves. There was people representing every county, every city, and then throughout the country and throughout the world. I mean, there was European people in here. So the economic impact is going to be a job for our team to put together, but we're excited to do it, and we'll be pleased to share it with everybody once we get rolling.
let you have it.
Yeah, so I think one, when you actually look at the coverage and who has been represented, I think there was a very, very broad, diverse representation of media. And I think afterwards we can talk, but of course, we did not handle all the credentialing. So we can talk after if you'd like. I'm going to go to the. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to, yeah, you go on.
Well, I'm very confident in, again, the NFL One Pass app was the download, and as people are going through the entrances, those cell phones are being picked up by all this AI intelligence. So we feel very confident about that. Frankly, I think the 775,000 was in our footprint. That doesn't necessarily take into account all the people that were in Capitol Park, Beacon Park, all the other activations, the Corner Ballpark, Eastern Market, Greektown. So we're excited about that. And again, I just think that this platform for the National Football League hosting this draft here and the positive impact that is going to come around, I think it's going to change the perception of really the nation. And my counterparts throughout the country have been texting and emailing me for the last several days saying, like, wow, you guys, you could never have a better platform to showcase the change and transformation of Detroit. And we're just so thrilled with it because I think this is going to be a stepping stone for our community, our region, our state when we move forward and procure more and more events. I think, winning begets winning. And I think there's a lot of groups that'll want to be associated with us now that they saw what can happen here.
Yeah. So you ought to sit in one of our cabinet meetings on a Wednesday morning. Every single thing we talked about was we are building this for the long run. The fountain is going to work for the long run. We've taken over the freeway cleanups for the long run. The blight removal that has been accelerated, things like the Packard plan and the East Side YMCA is fixed for the long run. But what we needed to do was change our national reputation. And we had a plan, and the State of the City speech laid it out there and put a lot of pressure on us. There was a huge amount of information went out to the national media on the $1 billion that we had invested in affordable housing and why we don't have homeless encampments in the city of Detroit, the $3 billion in black wealth gains in the last 10 years in the neighborhoods and why the neighborhoods have come back. We very consciously built up a national narrative and shared all of that with the national media. And I've got to say, I was really pleased, and I think there'll be a significant lasting effect. And so Claude will do his numbers over the 3 days. My question is going to be over the next 3 or 4 years. I think you're going to hear young people start their careers, and they could have taken jobs in a lot of cities. I think you're going to see them choose Detroit. They never would have thought of it. I think you're going to see businesses open in Detroit that never would have occurred to them before. That's going to be the real measure, is over the next 3 or 4 years, do we see the kind of acceleration in people moving here and businesses expanding here. That was the goal. I think we executed last week really well, and now we go back to work today.
All right, last question.
Okay.
I guess we'll take these last two. Let's go here. Are there any estimates as to whether, how many were local versus, okay, not yet. Last question. I don't think we have any of that yet, but when we do, we'll share with our final report in June. So, all right, thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Great work.